Alright guys, how's it going? Welcome back to All for United. This is a post-match reaction. United have beaten Aston Villa by 2-1. And you just know, every time I'm on this show and we win a game, you know what I'm going to say. We're back. We're winning another game. We're now joint top of the fucking league, ladies and gentlemen. The Norwegian PE teacher is fully at the wheel. United have beaten Aston Villa by no means an easy game. Let's not get carried away. It was a very tough game. We were a bit nervy towards the end, but United got over the line. We've got 3 more points. The perfect way to start the year, and the perfect way to start the year is with 3 fantastic guests I've got here on the post-match reaction. So everyone, like the video now, get us to that 20 like target, because we've got fantastic guests. And hey, why not? It takes about 2 seconds of your time. And United have just won. You're in good mood. It's the new year. Get liking the video. We'll go to John first. Then, what did you make of the win, and how nervy were you towards the end of that?
I mean, I was nervy throughout, really. I don't think it was the most comfortable of games. I mean, I think we started really well. The first 10 or 15 minutes reminded me of the Leeds game in some ways. I mean, we were pushing, we were creating a couple of chances or half chances that we were putting away against Leeds. But we didn't put them away tonight. And Villa, again, it was actually quite similar to sort of the Leeds game in some ways, although, of course, we know the Leeds game ended up 6-2, but it really was end-to-end in that way and chances galore. But 3 points, as you say, joint top, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, definitely. And as you say, 3 points are 3 points. It doesn't matter how they come, really. I mean, we're all joking that, hey, we're in a title race, but we actually are. And Phil, from how you see it, how important is it just to get 3 points in a game like this? I mean, I said it in the game against Wolves, how it doesn't matter how we win. But do you think that's the case, or do you reckon we need to build a bit more consistency in terms of performances?
Your voice is a bit choppy, so we'll hope I'm answering it properly. But first of all, during the festive period, that's all that matters, is you win, right? How you win, playing pretty football and all that doesn't really matter at the moment. You know, that matters over, of course, with 38-game season, but it doesn't matter during a festive period when you've got all these games coming thick and fast. If you look at other teams, Liverpool are awful against Newcastle, awful against West Brom. And lots of people who watch football will tell you it's understandable, considering the fatigue and injuries out there. Somehow this never applies to United. And unfortunately, we live in a world where it's no longer about Manchester United. Fans have now turned this into every 90 minutes is a piece of evidence as to whether Solskjaer is good enough or not. And that's all that dominates what happens afterwards. I'm fed up to tip back teeth of it. I don't know if there's another manager out there. What else should United be doing? I mean, should they be 20 points clear? Is that what Solskjaer's field at? Should he be 10 points clear? What is he not doing that these people think you should be doing? Because these idiots think that you win a league and you get top of the league by luck. You know, everything. If Solskjaer wins 5-0, Pochettino would have won 6, and this is the nonsense that we live in. So, brilliant the fact that United are sitting here, joint top of the league with Liverpool, which was totally unthinkable at the end of last season. Look, after the summer, I wasn't happy with how they went about the recruitment. Not who they signed, but just how they went about it. If you'd have said to me, January 1st, United would be sitting joint top of that league, right? Now, remember the criticism was Solskjaer was getting the first 4 or 5 games this season. I would have said that's unthinkable. Truly unbelievable. So many positives. Bailly tonight, absolute colossus, right? And very, very important because you go back to previous Wolves games before tonight, Traore, when he got one-on-one with Luke Shaw, rinsed him every time, right? Bailly's pace at the back, which is something they don't have, was very, very important against Traore. Tonight, again, magnificent pace. That block at the end is as good as a goal, right? So he could solve a big problem for United, a centre back with pace. He's a bit rash, we know, but brilliant. And the other thing that we can say with absolute certainty is Jack Grealish is a real deal.
Yeah, definitely. Jack Grealish is the real deal, and I wasn't pleased at all with how much space we gave him. And sometimes you might say, you know, it's just one of those things you can't really account for a player who likes to float around that much. You've got to be really switched on in your organisation. So, in terms of the tactical aspects of our defending, then I'm going to go to Abdel because, of course, me and him love talking tactics. So I'm obviously going to go to him with this question. Abdel, did you notice the same thing I did in terms of how difficult we found it to defend those wide areas in terms of they were creating 3v2s all the time over there. And do you think there was a way we could have countered that a little bit better?
I think it depends on the cover you get from your central midfielders like Scott and Fred. I don't think they had their best games. So there were a couple of times where they did not communicate very well, especially with their fullbacks as well. So these instances, you have to have someone to cover, whether be it a central midfielder or a winger drops back. The tuck-in problem that we've been having all season, where people say Aaron Wan-Bissaka is doing a really bad job at the near post or the back post, or the opposite. Also, like Tella's had a mare a couple of times with the back post issue. It's because they have to tuck in. The closer you get to the goal, the narrower the defensive line has to be. It's just how it is. You know, the cover you get when the opposition team comes on at you, you get from depending on your formation, of course. Depends. You get it either from your wingers or you get it from your central midfielders. And this is where I think we're lacking a bit of communication there, because the Leicester game, the goal they got, the equalizing goal at the very end with Vardy, the issue was that with that goal I saw was lack of communication between Pogba, Shaw, and Fred. Fred went to cover, I think, the fullback at the time, and Luke Shaw left Perez completely and just went to double up with Fred, which he shouldn't have done. And then Pogba signaled to show that you left Perez away instead of him going covering, which I understand why Pogba didn't go, but yeah, there was no one near you for you to cover, so why didn't you go as well? So in this area, I think we're lacking a little bit of communications on who to go, who to cover, who. This keeps happening. I don't know. We should be fixing that. That's for sure.
No, I 100% agree. I think that when you have an overload in those areas, that, as you say, the cover has to come from your midfielder, and it just wasn't coming. And I was surprised that it wasn't Fred, because I thought Fred would be the first man to go, you know what, he's got the energy, he's quick enough, let's go and cover. But it didn't really happen enough, in my opinion.
Yeah, like you have a couple of erratic people in United. You know, you have Mahi's erratic, you have Fred is a bit of erratic. Even Rashford in his decision making when he goes forward is erratic sometimes. Like he do a very difficult thing correct, and then the next minute he'll do something very, very simple wrong, you know, and be like, why, Rashford? Like, why did you do that? This is very simple. It's a simple pass. You have, like, they need to sort them out, their heads out, in decision making especially.
Definitely. Comments. I'm reading all your comments now, so let's take a quick break. Let's go have a look at what the comments are saying, because I'm sure everyone is buzzing that we've just won, just like Jacob. Just keeping it simple. Get in. We love to see it. Brown Knight, as usual. What did you miss? I'm not going to tell you because I'm sick of this question. Joe's in the comments. What an absolute legend he is. Pogba was top class tonight, and that's a very rare comment from Joe. He was fit to murder him when he didn't run into the corner at the end. You know what? I said that as soon as he picked up the ball. I said, he's not going into the corner with this. And then he lost the ball. I was like, oh, no, Paul. But luckily, we got away with it. Or rather, Eric Bailly saved his ass. Fucking hell. Ole out, fans, inject it. Ryan Evans is loving it. Absolutely love it. Fred Woodward's in the comment. Not a relation to Red Woodward. It's a relation to Fred, supposedly. Lucky Bailly blocked the chance at the end. As Phil said, as good as a goal. Otherwise, everyone would be talking about Pogba's decision rather than his performance throughout the game. Definitely. Darren's in the comments. Get in, fought till the end. Darren, what are you doing on Facebook, my mate? Get on youtube.com/AllForUnited. Join us in the stream, like the video. And as Joe says, if I can find the comment, if everyone likes this video, we will definitely win the league. 20 plus likes equals 20 plus 1 title. So 21 likes would equal 21 titles. So we're going to win the league. If that makes sense to you, like the video. But I do want to ask about Pogba. John, since Raiola came out, and made those comments that he did. Now, as Fred says, today was his best game in a while, but he's been good since those comments came out. So, in my opinion, I got a lot of stick for saying this at halftime, but he's earned a little bit of respect back for me in terms of, you know, how he's performed since then, because it seems like he and Ollie have come to a sort of gentleman's agreement almost that he will be sold. Now, I don't know whether that's the case, but what do you make of it? And do you think Paul should be given some kind of praise for that? Or is it just, this is your job and you're doing it?
I think it's a little bit more the latter. I think he's doing a reasonable job. I think he had a decent game today. I don't think he was a world beater. There was a few times at the beginning of the match or in the first 20 minutes when he dilly-dallied a bit in the penalty area when there was a chance to be decisive and he made an unusual decision. I think his decision-making still can be questionable in both thirds of the park. But anyway, this is not a night to be critical. I think he played well. And I think the name of the game with Pogba, and it has been since he joined the club, is consistency. I would say the last half a dozen games, I think he's probably started 4 or 5 of those. He has been consistent. 7 out of 10, not bad. Wouldn't mind a few more 8s, maybe 1 or 2 more goals. But yeah, he played well tonight. But that's what you would expect for an £80 million player with his talent.
Fair play, definitely. I mean, you have to praise him when he plays well, but the fact of the matter is he doesn't want to be here. So I suppose that is something you have to take into consideration. But another midfielder that I want to ask Phil about is a player that doesn't seem to get the praise he deserves, in my opinion. But when he plays well, everyone notices it. But when he plays okay, everyone seems to think he's been bad, and that's Fred. What do you think of Fred as a player, and what do you think his job was today, and how did he do it?
Well, I mean, excuse me, more or less since Spurs at home last season, I think it was December, when you beat Spurs under Mourinho, he's been one of the most important midfielders. I think Solskjaer deserves enormous credit for this because remember, Fred wasn't his signing, and prior to Fred looking like the player that we see now, Fred looked like he barely belonged on a professional football pitch. This was Mourinho's signing. He's got the best out of Fred. He's found a position for him. We know his limitations, right? We know he's the most un-Brazilian Brazilian I've ever seen. He does the ugly things really well, but does those things that are really, really important that if you don't do, you can see goals from runners from midfield, that you can see goals that we've seen so many times and nearly concede. He is someone, I mean, even when he was, I think he came off tonight and, almost conceded at the end. He's just such a crucial player. He has got a much better engine than Matic. And I think the whole balance in that midfield, he deserves so much credit. Look, where he's limited, he doesn't score goals. He's dreadful anytime he's got space. Technically not the best, but he definitely has improved where that first ball out of defense, linking up for when they're trying to play from the back, linking up midfield to get attacks going, definitely improved. And just to finish up on Paul Pogba, Paul Pogba was playing for a move. Paul Pogba was trying to salvage a reputation. If he wants to move, he has to do what he's doing now, right? Yeah. Otherwise, no one's going to turn around. I don't care if he's got a year or left in his contract or not. If he wants a big move to a big football club, he has to do this. So in many ways, United had him where they wanted him, and they said, well, if you want to leave and you want a big move, let's be honest, Paul Pogba was playing out of his skin. People would have went for him in January. They wouldn't wait till the summer. But Paul Pogba has something to prove, and so he was immense. The other thing that I will say, maybe in his defense, that we haven't given enough consideration to is Paul Pogba had COVID. COVID, a really serious illness, and as we've seen with other people, other athletes, not everyone recovers the same way. It's a respiratory illness, and that's obviously key to how a footballer plays. So some medication. So I think with what Pogba was one of his best performances in United shirt tonight, and Fred shows just how important he is to United in that defensive midfield role. He does all the ugly things well. And remember, guys, this is a Villa team that only lost 4 times since United beat them at Aston Villa last season. They came back against Chelsea, right, 3-1 each. United have beat Wolves and Chelsea. Wolves, who took points off Spurs comfortably and probably should have beat them. And the Villa team, like we said, they took points off Chelsea at Chelsea, and United have taken 6 points off both of them. And at home, where we badly need to start winning games.
Absolutely spot on there. Everyone like the video because we're getting some fantastic points across. And of course, we're going to take your point into consideration as well because, this is an interactive channel. So make sure to get in the comments. Make sure to comment what you think. Who do you think stood out today? Have we talked about all the players that played well? Is there someone that didn't? Because there is a player I'm going to talk about that I think is a big talking point at the minute. But before that, I will get to the comments. So Ashley agrees. Rate Fred, but he's guaranteed to give you 3 heart attacks a game. Brings that energy, though. Yeah, there's a few tackles where you just think, whoa, Fred, there's just no need to do that. I love very own Mark is in the comments. Let's get some more likes on the channel. We're not far away from that target, you know. There's loads of you watching. Everyone hit that like button. It does make a difference. It does make a difference. So please show us your support. You're all some absolute legends. Where is Sean? Says Brown Knight. He's still giving the post-match team talk. That's what he's doing. That's what Sean's doing. But yeah, no, I don't think anyone in the comments has actually spoken about this, Abdel. But I wanted to ask you about Anthony Martial. Now, I'm of the opinion that Martial does bring a lot to the build-up in terms of how we play. But also, a lot of people are correct in saying that Edinson Cavani brings something that Martial doesn't. Do you think Martial, first of all, as simple as you can put it, had a good game today? And maybe give us a bit of detail to some of the people that don't believe, people like me, for some reason. It's not like as if I chat shit every now and then. Why Martial is important to this team?
The simple answer is his hold-up play. As simple as that. Like, I know people, as a striker for Manchester United, you need to be scoring goals. And every pundit and their dog is on Martial's case. Is why is he not scoring enough goals? He can't be Manchester United striker. But they're oblivious completely to everything else he brings into the game. Even like the games where Martial missed absolute sitters in the Champions League, and some people blamed him for losing. Martial played in people for other chances. Martial created the Cavani chance, created the Rashford chance, created other chances. So this is the side of Martial that people do not want to give him credit for. Some people do, but not even to the extent that should be given. You know, so like in the way that we're playing right now, because we're I don't want to compare us to them, but we're playing more like Liverpool than a City. So City rely on their 2 attacking midfielders to create all the chances, so they don't need their striker, especially if Aguero is playing. They don't need their striker to be in the box all the time. Now he's encouraged to be in the box all the time, but we don't require it because, like Liverpool, we don't depend on fullbacks to be the main focal of creating. But the way we're set up is quite similar in that they want the striker to be more of another creator who drops in midfield and helps the attacking midfielder to play the wingers in, to play the inside forwards and like Rashford and Greenwood when Greenwood was playing, or whoever that plays on the right wing. So this side of his game is so vital to our play. And that's why when Cavani comes in or when Rashford comes in as a striker, our style of play completely changes. Our way of playing completely changes. So he's very vital to the main way we want to play, at least. This dropping in, this playing off the attacking midfielder. So sometimes he plays with Bruno Fernandes, or playing a 1-2 with Rashford. It's very, very important, and people need to credit him for that. So I think at least 60% of his importance needs to be placed on that, and 40% on scoring the goals. Although Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wants him to score goals, we've managed to ask someone at United, is he given instructions to be in the box or not? And he said no. Anthony Martial, like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, is on his case to be in the box, to get on the end of crosses, to get on the end of cutbacks. But at the same time, we realize the importance of his hold-up play and in the way he plays people in. So that's not discouraged out of his game as well.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I mean, we noticed today that whenever the ball was in a wide area, Martial wasn't the one, bursting into the box for the cross. It was usually Pogba who took in, and Martial would sort of drop off a little bit. But yeah, no, I agree in terms of build-up. People don't tend to value build-up play as much anymore, which is what worries me. I mean, Martial is the perfect player for the kind of thing that I love to. I mean, as a coach, I love to coach the cheeky little up, back, and through, which is where you play a ball into a striker, he holds it up, give it off to someone else, a space in behind to run onto, and that's what Martial is fantastic at. So, he does that, and he deserves a bit more praise, as Abdel says. Whether the comments agree with that, I don't know, but we'll have a look. Brown Knight says we've hit the 20 like target, so thanks to every single one of you so far who's done that. Let's keep some more likes coming. Any more talking points you guys want to talk about in the comments, let us know. But there's lots of praise for Martial in terms of his movement in the box. There's also some kind of strange argument going on in terms of the comments. I don't want to get into that, but it's a weird argument. I don't want to know. But he's coming on Martial. I like Martial, but I simply think we can get better based on what I see from other teams across global football. He cost a fair bit, don't forget, but I don't think he's been a flop, not superb. That seems like an on-the-fence comment there, Jacob. I hope you're not too uncomfortable on that fence of yours. But yeah, John, in terms of the defence then, obviously going forward, we know our quality. We know how good we are. I thought today, well, as me and Abdel discussed, the wide areas, we didn't really defend very well in terms of allowing them to cross the ball in because of a lack of cover. But how important, I mean, we spoke about it off air, how important is Eric Bailly coming back into this team?
He's been immense the last 2 weeks. I think something happened to him the moment when Cavani scored that goal and he encouraged him to do the bow and arrow celebration. From that moment, he became a cult figure, and his performances on the pitch have replicated that in so many ways. I mean, he's been immense, and that block at the end, my goodness me. Yeah, he saved Pogba's bacon in some respects. I have a little bit of sympathy for Pogba taking that cross or whatever it was on. I mean, he was in the area basically. I know it was 94 minutes, but anyway. But back to Bailly, he's been immense. But I think Maguire again was excellent. I think the three most consistent performers tonight were De Gea, good save as well. I think 92.5 minutes in, excellent save there, and a few other saves he made as well. Didn't put a foot wrong, really. Couldn't be blamed for the goal. And I think Maguire and Bailly have been immense. Okay, you could ask one or two questions regarding the goal we conceded, but really, I think it's got to be stopped at source. And that was the issue with so many issues tonight, with crosses coming in, even just shots from range. Again, I thought some of the closing down, a little bit like against Leicester, to some extent against Wolves as well. I think we are a bit slow to close them down. And that shouldn't be the case with McTominay and Fred there, albeit that Matic was obviously on for the last half an hour instead of McTominay, which I think was the right decision, particularly when the balls were coming into the box. I think Matic has got 1 or 2 inches on McTominay. So, but Bailly, unbelievable. I saw somebody tweet, best defender of all time, Beckenbauer, whatever, you name it. Bailly has turned into that player.
Are you sure that wasn't me? I'm joking. I love Eric Bailly. He's an absolute psychopath. It's just fantastic. You need that kind of player in your team. And especially if we are going to mount some kind of a challenge at the top of the table, squad depth is going to be important. And today we saw, Matic coming on. We saw Dan James play a part. Phil, I want to ask you this in terms of that. Then, how serious do you think, and how long do you think we can sustain this? Because at the minute we are keeping pace. We've got a squad that's able to, win these kind of games. Do you think, first of all, how likely is it that we go into the market and maybe bring in another signing? Number 2, we've got another signing coming in, Diallo. Do you think he fits in anywhere? And 3, how long do you think we can keep this going?
Well, I mean, if you looked at last season, one of the biggest complaints that Solskjaer had was depth. And there's no question that poor depth cost United in those semi-finals. At the very least, it definitely cost them a Sevilla semi-final. But if you looked at their bench over the last 4 to 5 weeks, to me, it's probably the strongest bench in the Premier League. Certainly up there with Man City, better than Liverpool. Chelsea, they're better. The players on the bench that maybe have bigger reputations but aren't producing. So the depth is magnificent. It's really, really encouraging. There are certain positions that United need to improve in. I think they definitely need another right back. I think Wan-Bissaka, brilliant ball tonight, of course, from Martial, but we know he has offensive limitations. And I thought they showed against Wolves, where you really needed someone that could give United another attacking dimension. Wan-Bissaka doesn't give it to him. He's brilliant defensively, and I know people question his position and everything. Maybe they know more about football than I do, probably. But he is. I mean, I see him against Raheem Sterling. He's brilliant one-on-one. I don't think anyone puts Raheem Sterling in his pocket better than Wan-Bissaka. And those are, he's exceptional defensively. But in games where you're dominating possession, like a Wolves game, you need someone with an attacking option. It's encouraging to see United have identified that right back position as something they need to strengthen. Dallo's going to Milan. He's played 111 minutes of football. So that tells me maybe he's been injured. I don't know, but if he hasn't been injured, that tells me there's a problem. I wanted Dalot to work. To me, he looked like a player that deserved another chance and certainly deserved to be persevered with. But Solskjaer didn't agree with that. So for me, I think they need a right back. They're looking at a right back position. Obviously, Trippier was the target. Obviously, we know he's suspended, so I don't know what's going to happen there. I think they'll try to get a right back in this window. But when was the last time United approached the transfer window not desperate for signings? I mean, it's been a while, lads. Right? This is the strongest position United have been in approach the transfer window, in my opinion, really since Ferguson. We're not desperate to get to January 1st. We're like, we need a signing today. You know, look at last January. We're desperate to get there. Bruno Fernandes came in, completely transformed the football club. Even in the summer, desperate to get signings done. Now we're sitting in a position where we're relaxed. And when you're relaxed about that, a couple of things happen. Clubs can't hold you to ransom anymore because you're not desperate. You get players at the right price, right? You tend not to panic, so therefore you could be a little bit more selective about your signings. You know, okay, we desperately need a right back, but we can't get the one we want. We'll have to take him. You know, and that's how you end up signing players that don't work, and then you have to move on 6-12 months later. So they're in a really, really good, strong position. Tuanzebe can play there as well, of course. Ethan Laird eventually. So for me, I think they'll try to sign a right back in this window. And I think Trippier would be excellent if he hadn't been suspended. Some of that experienced right back. And Traore, you know, this paperwork still hasn't been done yet, so hopefully it gets done, and hopefully United are certainly optimistic about it. But that means United already got a signing. I wanted him as summer, we all did, but that is a young lad coming in with immense talent, immense pace. You know, Rashford tonight tired. You could see he was tiring towards the end. They needed an alternative. Dan James came in. Doesn't have a left foot, and so he was put on the left, kept cutting inside, and almost cost us a couple of times. So it's really, really exciting to see that a young player coming into a squad that is winning. You know, so the atmosphere is going to be good, and to where he can give United an immediate boost. It's really, really hard to do that in January because Bruno Fernandes is a one-off. It's very, very difficult, the quality to come in and give you the impetus. Liverpool are in a position where they have a sense of urgency. They have to bring in players that work. Their squad's thin. And so this is where I feel, why not? If you look at United over the course of a year, you know, if we're talking about consistent, you know, United have done what we've seen here for maybe 2 months, then you have a right to be suspicious. But over the course of a year, Solskjaer, correct me if I'm wrong, he's either number one or certainly no less number two, accumulated more points than any other manager. That's consistency, lads. Right? Yep. That's not an accident. So why can't they do it for the next 3-4 months? And let me tell you something. That perch that Liverpool are back on, it's a little bit wobbling.
Wobbly it is. This is what I love to hear. In terms of that transfer window, then, I think it's a big month coming up because if this board is serious and they're looking at where we are in the league and going, hang on a minute, we can catch these, they better be getting some money out and, you know, backing in with some more squad depth. Because, as you said, a right back is a very important place because I think we need to have competition in each position. And I think right back is the only one where we don't have it. I mean, we've seen what it does to Luke Shaw. And Alex Tellers, since he's come in, Luke Shaw's probably been our best left back. That's not to say he's been fantastic, but he's been good. But yeah, comments. Let us know. What I'm eager to see what you guys think in terms of which right back would you sign? Because obviously we've been linked with Max Aarons, we've been linked with Kieran Trippier. So let me know what you think. In the meantime, Abdel, I'm going to ask you. We've spoken about right back. Is there any other position that you think we need to strengthen to be able to say, right, for the last 4 months of the season, let's go chase down Liverpool? What do you think?
I think a central defensive midfielder would give us more stability than a center back at the moment. Because, Ollie at the moment, his biggest problem with consistency in the way we play, at least, is that position. That position is causing him a lot of trouble because Matic cannot play game in, game out every 3 days. And because of that, he can't use Pogba as much as he would like to. So he has to rely on that pairing of Fred and Scott that worked so well for him. And if he's going to use that, he has to use Bruno Fernandes up top because Bruno Fernandes have been like, I mean, you can't drop that guy. That guy has been so productive, it's insane actually. Like I've never seen a midfielder put those numbers up consistently. So this area, if we get a pure progressive central defensive midfielder like a Matic but younger, it will solve a lot of issues for us and will make us more consistent in the way at least we play. And then of course right back, because Aaron Wan-Bissaka has been run to the ground a couple of times. So like when Aaron Wan-Bissaka start playing really bad, you'll know he's out. He's running on empty gas. And but to be fair to him, throughout this whole season, Aaron Wan-Bissaka has slowly been progressing very well in areas where he's weak. So his build-up play, his progression with the ball, his 1 and 2s with his central midfielders or his wingers, been progressing, not like astonishingly, I guess. Sorry, but it's been progressing slowly, which I think is very good. Now, of course, if you're going to compare him to the output of Andy Robertson or Trent Alexander-Arnold, of course, it's not going to stack up. But from someone who was criticized for not being able to attack at all, I think he's doing well.
Fair play, fair play. Everyone, there is absolutely loads of you watching this video right now, so thank you so much for getting involved. We're on about 30 or so likes. I'm going to raise the stakes a little bit. Let's try and get to 50 by the end of this video. We've got some fantastic guests, and we're not going anywhere until we get some more likes. We've got a great discussion going. Joe's in the comment, and he's just suggested we sign Seamus Coleman. Joseph, stop it. We're not signing Seamus Coleman. We'll probably sign someone English because, you know, it's better than having an Irishman. I didn't say that. I didn't say that. I didn't say that. I don't know who said that. Why would you say that, Abdel? Come on, mate. No, in terms of the transfer window, then, and we touched a little bit on Amad Diallo, John. And I know none of us really know a lot about him, but in terms of just the extra depth in that position, do you think it changes the way we approach games at all when we sign another right winger? Or do you think it's just, okay, we've got another option off the bench, or we've got extra depth? Or do you think we might change the way we see, you know, United play?
Are you talking about right wing or right back?
Right wing.
Right wing. I don't. I mean, I know we've got the two young lads, the wide boys, obviously now. You got one of them's obviously coming in from Atlanta, isn't he? Or Atlanta. And the other one's Piestri, or am I getting his name right in the pronunciation? Yeah. I mean, I don't see those guys doing much. I mean, who knows? I could be completely wrong, and they could be burst on the scene like a certain Solskjaer did, or even one or two other players like Martial, although Martial came in at a much bigger price. I don't see that area of the pitch somewhere that we're either going to be strengthening in this particular window, because I think we're really only interested in Sancho in the long term. And I think these two young boys, I think, are really long-term future. So I don't see that being an issue. I completely agree with what one or two of the other guys said about right back. I do see that as being somewhere, particularly with Wan-Bissaka, although he did turn into Cafu this evening at one point. When he set up Martial there, I wasn't sure what was going on. I had to rub my eyes at one point and check the date and see what was going on. I wasn't even sure if I had COVID myself. Yeah, so he did great there, but then he goes and lets himself down with a switching off. I think to some extent him and Fred for the goal that we conceded. I think central defensive midfield again is probably a bit like right wing. I think we might go for a long-term option in the summer with someone like Declan Rice from West Ham, but I don't see these players, even Kieran Trippier, who I think would be amazing at right back, given that suspension he's got, given that he's 30. Given that Atletico Madrid are top of the league and still in the Champions League, I don't see there being an appetite from either Atletico or Kieran Trippier himself to probably leave. Although I believe that he was a United fan as a kid. So, but if he comes, I think it's probably been more likely the summer. But then he's another 6 months older, and all sorts of things can go on. I don't know enough about Max Aarons. He was part of a relegation team last season. He's now in the Championship. But I like what Phil said. I think we don't need to panic. If we bring in a right back this window, excellent. We bring in a top central defensive midfielder, excellent. But these players have got to be ready and go in the first team and to make a difference and have got to be the right players. If the right player's not available, we keep going as we are. The squad depth now with Van der Beek coming in, with Cavani coming in, even with these two young boys as well that were mentioned, we don't need to be adding depth to the squad. Someone that's going to be coming in is going to be going straight into the team. But I just want to mention a couple of things regarding the Pogba comments. I've already seen some tweets coming my way. And we know that Twitter is a wonderful place where all sorts of friendly things go on there. And, people just want to spread the love. And it's 2021 and, we've got a vaccine for the virus. So regarding my Pogba comments, someone said, you must be joking. Somebody else said, oh, you're a hater. Okay. Somebody said, total bull. And my favorite one, which I retweeted, was start watching cricket, mate. Football ain't for you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, did he think I was speaking? Well, how does that make sense? No, he must have thought I was speaking when he said that. I don't know how he'd say that, but yeah, no, whatever. Twitter's a fantastic place with loads of friendly people, as you said.
We love it.
We love it. Guys, there's absolutely loads of people watching on YouTube. Everyone, thank you for joining us on the live stream. If you've missed it, you can watch it back because it's been a fantastic show so far. Loads of you. We're 1 like away from my 50 like target. This is fantastic. Where's that last like coming from? Whoever does it gets respect. That's the prize. You get respect. Yeah, we're talking currently what the squad needs to go and challenge that next step. And of course, I'm going to go to Abdel because he says to me that he knows something. I mean, he has something on Diallo. Now, he's coming in. He's not had any kind of, experience with the United team. Why do you think he might get an opportunity over someone like a Pellistri who's been getting time in the 23s?
Basically, because his ceiling is higher. I mean, from what I've seen in Pellistri at under 23s, because I haven't seen Pellistri, to be fair, before he came in to us. I don't have footage for matches in Uruguay, but I had the Atalanta under 19s, under 18 matches that Amad Diallo played. I've seen a lot more from Amad Diallo than Pellistri. But the small amount that I saw from Pellistri and the lot that I've seen from Diallo tells me that Diallo has a little bit, actually not a little bit higher ceiling than Pellistri. And he's a bit more ready because Amad Diallo he plays in yes, it's not the Serie A, it's like under 23 and all that. But he was exposed to defensive setups. He was exposed to a little bit more physicality than Pellistri. And his technicality is actually quite a bit better than Pellistri. So his close control in tight areas, his build-up play, his awareness on the pitch, when to go back, when to go forward, when to help your fullback, when to cut in. It's a bit more. Now, of course, it still needs to develop. I'm not saying by any stretch of the imagination that he's world class right now and just put him in the starting 11. So, and that's one thing that United fans need to be patient with because he still has things in his game that need a lot of development, but the signs are there. And I think he will get a head start over Pellistri. He will start for us much faster than Pellistri, but he won't start right away. Now, the only question I have on him would be yes, he plays physicality and defensive setups in the Italian league because they love to be defensive. But can he handle it in the English league with a much higher pace, with a much more physicality and pace and power and all that? So that's the only question. If he can handle that, I have no doubt he will be a great right winger for United.
Fair play. Loads of insight on Amad Diallo there. And if you've just missed it, Fabrizio Romano has just tweeted about 2 minutes ago that Solskjaer has confirmed in his post-match comments that Diallo has received his passport. All the paperwork's done. Can't see any obstacles. He's coming. Hope very soon he'll be with us. Very excited to have him in. He'll need time to develop. Now, does that mean with Pellistri the 23s? Does that mean in the first team? Suppose we'll have to see. But as Abdel says, I think I kind of agree with him. He does look like he's ready to play a part in this team. And, I'm excited to see what he brings. Joe's just made the 50th like. No, I don't respect you, but I love you. So we'll give you that. Thank you. Thank you, Joseph. Thank you. In terms of the title race, then. So we're in a title race. Liverpool now go to Southampton to try and get a point. Otherwise, we'll join top. Now, in terms of that joint top thing, this is one that I really want to hit home on. And I'm going to go to Phil on this because I feel like he'll echo my thoughts perfectly. Do you remember a couple of months ago when Liverpool were going through that tough spell of form and they were sort of in third or second place? I can't remember where it was, and they were level on points with whoever was top. I think it might have been Everton at the time. And it was, Liverpool are joint top. Now United are in that position. How much do you want me to bet that they'll go United are still second on goal difference? Because there is a media bias against Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's Manchester United. Tell me why that is, because it's absolute bullshit to me.
Well, the first thing you have to remember is the people writing these have absolutely no idea what it takes to be successful as a football manager. So it's a bit like me evaluating a particle physicist and telling them that they're not very good at their job. There's never been a journalist, and I include myself not as a journalist but as an analyst, that has the first clue about what it takes to be successful at a football club. So they should be immediately dismissed. Remember, they're just like you. They're fans with a pen, right? They have their biases, everything else, right? And a lot of the younger generation coming up today, they have just like generations before had their perception of what a great football manager looked like. And Solskjaer doesn't tick those boxes, right? He's not the Pep understudy. He's not, all this bollocks, all this absolute utter nonsense, right? That Arteta gets, Arteta, I've said this before, only has to play well for evidence that he's genius, and Solskjaer only has to play badly once for it to be evidence that he is out of his depth. And that argument has now moved on to where he now isn't winning with enough perfection. Not even when he wins, it's not acceptable, right? No other manager in the history of football has ever had to deal with not winning perfectly, right? Usually they say it's results business. Well, it is if you're anyone other than Solskjaer. Because people are just committed to certain narratives, and those people should be immediately dismissed. If you can't be objective enough to where your opinion is based on evidence, right? Then you should be immediately dismissed. And this is what I don't understand when someone goes back into Twitter and finds a tweet a year ago and says, well, you said this a year ago. Yeah, well, if you go back far enough, you'll find that I believe that Spider-Man, was going to save the world. I was 4 years of age, and then I accumulated evidence, and my views changed. That's what happens. When as you get different evidence, your views should evolve accordingly, right? So I don't know if Solskjaer's the right man. None of us do, right? There's still a big question to be answered about whether he's the right man or not. We'll find out, right? But I thought, when I said at the start of the season, what would constitute progress for me? The top four had to be, for me, a bare minimum not to where we're sitting on the last day of the season, hoping we're going to qualify, to where we're within touching distance of the league leaders, maybe within 10 points, and top four is comfortable, hopefully win a trophy somewhere. That to me would be progress. Then the following season, we're entitled to expect a title race. So for me, the fact that we're in a title race in January, and deservedly so, United have had to deal with all the variables that Liverpool have had to deal with and everybody else. We're sitting joint top. Let's have it right, lads. Let's say Pochettino took over United in January. The day before, and signs Bruno Fernandes the next day, and does this, right? And has United joint top. The media would be overwhelmed. You'd have articles shoved down your throat from every article out there, that has expected goals, expected overhead kick goals, expected box, expected bullshit that will permeate everything about how wonderful Pochettino is. Arteta has exposed so many people, right? Where they're going to delete, right? Because what it shows is we really don't know anything. Right? None of us know anything, right?
I think Phil, because his opinion.
It's in John's habit. We don't need opinion. His work speaks for itself.
Yeah. I think it's because these opinions get thrown out there without putting any context. That's why people get clipped and then get back. Like what you said this 2 months ago, without giving us any context why you said that. It's just because people like media especially, they say most of their opinions based on the current result or the last three results, without, for example, saying that, oh, wait, United did not have a preseason at all. Oh wait, Pogba had COVID. Oh wait, this happened to Maguire. Maybe that's why it's affecting the team. You know, no, it's all suddenly because we all told you this guy is not the right guy, and that's why you lost 6-1 to
Look,
Tottenham.
guys, sorry to interrupt. Because we're in the era of social media where sensationalism sells everything. You don't get attention and you don't get clicks or you don't get discussion if you're measured. If you're like, well, they lost, but it's one game, these things can happen. No one does that. Everyone's like, it's cataclysmic. It's evidence that again, without any depth into what you're actually saying and all the contributing factors. So the last 90 minutes defines everything, maybe even the last 45 minutes, right? So it's all about how you finish the game will determine how people write about you. So Solskjaer, we know, look, for me, I couldn't care if Benny Hill manages Man United, right? As long as they play well, right? And they play in a certain way, they win. I don't care. But for me, when I see people who support that this football club is contingent upon who's managing it, I don't understand them. They don't understand me. I support Manchester United. They support like Justin. I've got my teenage niece has pictures of Justin Bieber on her wall, right? And these people support managers in the same way she supports Justin Bieber, right? And so you support an individual, which is fine. That's entirely up to you. But don't argue with me because we're looking at this from two different perspectives. I'm a United fan. I'm not a Mauricio Pochettino fan or whatever, right? So, I really am so sick and tired of every United result being nothing more than evidence for or against Solskjaer.
Yeah. Fair play. Spaceface says, won a game, have you? Haha. Yeah, we fucking have. Who the fuck are you? And clearly, if you're not a supporter of United,
I don't want to turn this into again like I was saying, Oli in or Oli out, anything. But I think the one thing the guy really needs to take credit for is handling all the personalities at Manchester United. The way he managed all these players without causing them to create a fuss or be annoyed by game time or say that I'm not playing or actually down tooling. I think he really should get a lot of credit for that. Something that Jose Mourinho, which is I'm saying like one of the greatest managers in the 21st century, hasn't been able to do. He couldn't handle these personalities, and to see Ole Gunnar Solskjaer do that with these guys and tell them that United is above all. If you're not gonna play for this club, sorry, we don't need you. You will be outcasted to the side, and if you don't perform, you're loaned out or you're sold. That is one of the things that really makes me want to support that guy and really wish him the best and stand by him till the very end. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely, guys. We're gonna close up the show soon, very soon. We're gonna go around, get some final thoughts. But everyone who's watching today, thank you for joining us. This has been a fantastic post-match show. If you're new, make sure to subscribe to the channel. If you're watching on other platforms, it's youtube.com/AllForUnited. Hit that subscribe button, hit the like button. And by the end of the show, is it going to be too much to ask if I ask for 75 likes? Maybe. John, closing thoughts. And before I get your closing thoughts, I want to mention one thing because I don't think anyone's mentioned it yet. How much credit does Ole deserve for the form of David De Gea? Because he's put in some fantastic faith towards him and he's starting to reap the rewards now.
Yeah, I mean, De Gea's been great. I do think the decision to play him ahead of Henderson was probably made after in the last 4 or 5 games after the calamitous error against Sheffield United. So I don't think it was a tough decision. But he certainly seems to favour De Gea at the moment, and it seems to be the right decision. Again, De Gea was excellent tonight. He didn't put a foot wrong, as I said earlier. He made some crucial saves, none more so than in the last 2 or 3 minutes just before that unbelievable Bailly block. He made some good saves against Wolves, and yeah, what more can he do? As for the coming weeks, we've got that rescheduled Burnley game. I think is next up in about 12 days from now. Obviously, in terms of the league, I know we've got a couple of cup fixtures before then, but I think whatever happens, we are in a title race, and we are now in terms of the games. I think there's 16 we've played now, so we are effectively at the halfway stage, if you like. And I think whatever happens in the next 3 or 4 games, we're still going to be there or thereabouts. I mean, we might be 3 points off the top. We might be 5 points off the top. We might be 3 or 5 points in front. We don't know what's going to happen, of course, throughout January. But whatever happens, we're going to be there or thereabouts. And it hasn't been the case for 7 years. So the guy who said something about, well done, we've won a game. Well, I think we've won 8 and drawn 2 of the last 10. So I don't know which club he's supporting, but whichever club he supports, they're not doing as well as we are. So that's fine.
Well, clearly, what the fuck are you doing watching a United fan channel if you don't support United?
I just don't understand what the point is. Yeah, we've got the whole point of watching the game of football. You want it, you're supposed to be happy.
Yeah, we've won quite a few games, actually, but whatever. Guys, as Ben's saying in the comments here, we go live after every game. So if you're new here, make sure to subscribe. We're here after every game. We've got content every day of the week, near enough. So make sure to stick around. We have a fantastic community both on YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram, and on Twitter. You can find us at All for United. We are an interactive fan channel, and make sure to stick around for more. Phil, your closing thoughts then. What do you think?
Well, look, guys, I think we've got to be ecstatic. We're United, right? Sitting here, joint top, first day of the new year. But it's been a very, very difficult year. This was unthinkable. When last time United played Villa at home, think about how bad United were. How the Solskjaer almost get sacked after that game. And we're sitting here with a world-class player that would walk into any football team in the world, who really should have been a Ballon d'Or winner for me. With young players coming through, with the football club that now seems to understand how to recruit properly. When we need a player, and the players that are being heavily linked with the club are players that should have been signed 2-3 years ago. I like Max Aarons. I like Kieran Trippier. I like that type of player being linked with United. Very, very, very encouraging. And I think there's so many things to be happy about with United that look like they're being fixed, that prohibited United's growth in the past. And now we feel like, and just my last point on this, Solskjaer is managing a club, not a team. Mourinho, Van Gaal, they manage teams. We're all about making sure United were successful in the current moment, where Solskjaer is managing a football club. He's improving United from the top, the academy, all the way down. So you can see with players coming through, and very, very encouraging.
Yep, all spot on. Before we go to Abdel, I want to tell there's a comment that's been repeated in the comments. John Abraham Reverse, whoever the fuck you are, get to fuck, right? So stop spamming the chat with absolute bullshit. Abdel, your closing thoughts then, and as I say that, we've hit the 70 like mark. Give me 5 more. Come on, you can do it. You know you want to give me 5 more, because I'm gonna be so off my head in a minute when we try to close this show. So give me 5 more likes and I'll be even happier. Abdel, your closing thoughts.
Yeah, I think it's like I'm gonna echo Phil. Like there's so much to be happy about United. Like so much changed in the last 2 years in terms of how the club is being managed. Like, you know, looking into the academy, bringing people in, changing the recruitment strategy. Like that, of course, on the field. Changes, getting rid of all the, like as Ollie called them, bad apples or holes in the squad to slowly complete that squad. So it's not just about today's results that I'm happy about. It's about the whole progress from since Ollie came in until now, and to be joint top in January. That's actually amazing. Now I don't expect us to win the league. I still think we're still an unbalanced team. But I mean, if there's anyone to win the league in this current season with everything that's happening, why not take our opportunity and do it? So I'll keep the faith and be behind the boys, and hopefully they'll do it.
This is a great feeling. We're about to close off the show, and I can see we're 2 likes away from the 75 mark. So make sure we get there. Ben will absolutely love me for it. He's going to give me a kiss if I ever meet him. When it's COVID friendly, of course, not in the middle of COVID. Obviously, I don't want to, not that Ben has COVID, but this is just getting out of control. I'm clearly off my head. We're in the title race for the first time in years. Just don't blame me whatsoever. As for the 2 idiots in the comments, fuck off. We're not about that negativity. We're a very balanced channel. We don't talk about absolute nonsense. But guys, in the comments, thank you so much for joining us. I'm about to close off the show. So while I do that, while I chat some absolute shit to get you lot pumped, make sure to like the video. If you're new here, make sure to subscribe and make sure to share the video to all your friends and family, because in this very, very testing time. Sharing is caring. Right then, let's get to it then. United were told that they were lucky to be where they are in the league. We were told that Ollie's getting the best out of individuals. Individuals are saving him. Bruno's carrying the team. Cavani's carrying the team. We don't have tactics. It's just vibes. Well, tell you what, the vibes are quite nice being up here at the top of the league. It's quite nice. I don't mind it. I don't mind having a Norwegian PE teacher in charge of my team because clearly better managers like Mikel Arteta are sitting down in 15th showing us just how good they are. So, you know what? Even if we have a shit manager, even if we have a team that isn't good enough to challenge for a title, well, we're fucking doing it. So what are you going to say about that? The table doesn't lie. We're joint top of the league. We are keeping pace with Liverpool, who are, by the way, the reigning champions of this division. So that's no mean feat. They've had injuries and they're coming back in. So we're going to be in one heck of a title race. But guess what? We're going to Anfield in a couple of weeks and we could be playing them to go top of the league. And then we have our game in hand in the middle of all that. So guess what? In a few weeks' time, we might be clear at the top of the table. Then what are you going to fucking say? I bet you they'll go, oh, they should be further ahead. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's a fraud. Well, tell you what, if we win the league, then we can keep chatting shit while we're all singing 21-21. Get the fucking negative bastard. We're in a title race. And you know what? The Norwegian teachers back at the wheel. See you in a bit, guys.